Welcome to Three Seas in a Pod, episode 27. All right, 2 games in.
Yo.
We're 2 games in. Okay, we're just gonna jump right into it. Yo, Derek White and Drew Holiday blocking shots. Holy shit! That was like one thing that was really hyped up. But our glorious king, Derek White.
I'm saying, man, I've
Holy
been.
shit, man! That game was crazy. I was hooting and hollering. That shit was wild. But you guys talk about Derek White, but like,
I think I think he's coming into his own even more than like the last.
mm-hmm.
Just to see his progression has been like really funny and like super dope to see. Like obviously I always like gas him up and stuff. And like I really love the way that he plays. But even just I think it was either at the beginning of the fourth or like mid fourth or something like that. But he just hit like 3 shots in a row, and one of them was just like a pull up three. And I was like,
it was mid fourth, yeah.
yeah, and I was like, okay, that's the kind of shit that like you can tell he is like comfortable with the team like fully at this point, because obviously when he got first traded here, he wasn't gonna do something like that on a heat check, and even like the next season following, he was still trying to do his job at the best of his ability. But now I feel like he's doing that plus feeling like he can do a bit more. Obviously, like it calls a little bit for that because we're not so like heavily reliant on the starters, but I mean that top six is like asked to produce for sure.
I think we are heavily reliant on the starters at this
No,
point.
I do agree. Yeah, I was gonna obviously touch upon that later though. But yeah, I think he even though he was a part of that top 6-7 last year, anyways. I think now it is just showing that he's even more comfortable, and he is just progressing off of that last year, which was like a fire year already.
Agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Dude, he just looks like he's taking another step every season, bro. Like losing Marcus Smart, obviously. Now he feels like he has more to do. Like, and Drew Holiday coming in. I feel like now, like he feels as if Drew Holiday was in his situation when he got traded here. It was like, he's gonna ease his way in and kind of find his niche. But now it's like, Derek White is like, I'm a lead by example and just kind of like drive that backcourt. Man, kind of see in the first 2 games.
Yo, for sure. And honestly, that was one of my other things where it's like, yo, it really seems like we are hanging our hat on our defense.
Yeah.
It is okay. So like, this is like a Celtics thing at this point. I feel where the Knicks shot 44% from three against us, and fucking Miami shot like 49%. Like, this is insane. It felt like every shot they were shooting was going in.
No, yeah, every three, and like teams are definitely are going to be more hyped to like verse us and rise to the occasion, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think it's a bit of scheme too, which is something I was going to talk about later. But I mean, you can continue.
No, we can talk about that right now. But because that kind of leads into like, because a lot of my takeaways were defensive. Where it's like, yo, KP, the rim protection is legit. It is like, it's legit. This dude, I mean, he's not. I mean, he is actually swatting shots just like Rob, but like the dude being 7'4", I know Bam was cooking him last night, but even then, Bam wasn't shooting like this crazy percentage either. Like, he wasn't insanely efficient. But like, I think the combination of the rim protection we have with KP, we obviously know what Al provides. We obviously know what the Jays provide, at least at point of attack for JB. But like the Derek and Drew combo with the KP rim protection and JT kind of being that Romer-esque role. Yo, it's actually crazy to watch, and I'm loving it. Like, it's nice to have an identity, I think. And I think that's their identity this year.
I was gonna say that, like, even with that defense, as much as like it's looked really good, and obviously like we just have super high level and high IQ like defensive players, so it shines even more. But I think obviously that plays a part about why like the teams are shooting so fucking crazy from three for now, alongside with the fact that they'll just step up to the occasion, obviously, because they're playing the season. Those are two very high, not like marquee matchups or anything like that, but the Knicks are always going to be the Knicks with the Celtics, and the Heat clearly have something with the Celtics, like between us.
So sacrifice something. I don't know.
Yeah, so that doesn't surprise me that they're like, shooting that well from deep and stuff. But obviously, we're not playing as like crazy of a switch as before, and there is like more drop coverage and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there were switches and stuff. Like we saw a lot of Drew on like Julius Randle and stuff like that the other day, and like he was obviously holding his own, doing really well against him. So just that variety is nice to see, rather than just like like Joe was saying, even in interviews and stuff like that, just super reliant on switching and how like taxing that can be. I think once they get more of the concept of either doing both or maybe 60-40 of like drop coverage or something like that, then those like 3-point percentages and stuff won't be as scary to like witness and stuff like that, because they'll be adjusted to the scheme and stuff. But even just off rip, because of everyone is so like high level defensively, and I'd say like this is easier to get off the rip rather than like when it took basically half the season for the other Celtics, when we were doing all switch heavy defense. It was very like communication based and knowing the rotations and all that kind of stuff. So this is obviously easier to get from the beginning, but obviously there's still an adjustment period, because like there's 2 new guys in a whole new scheme. So yeah, it's nice to see. And obviously that was my only like small concern, but it's like they're gonna gel in that way.
Exactly. And
go
ahead.
That's pretty much what like I wanted to say too. But it's just like you can kind of see the adjustment period too. Like, we're gonna hang our hats on defense, but like you kind of see like all that energy that we take on defense, especially in the beginning of the season already. It's kind of already. I mean, like we have the offensive firepower. It's kind of like we're more leaning towards that defensive side. So it's kind of like altering our offense, because you kind of saw that in the Knicks. Like we started off hot, like started good playing defense, and then like we were locking the Knicks up. Obviously, over the course of the game, they're gonna start hitting shots, and they started doing that, going on their run, and then eventually, like we just had to hang our hats on defense, and our offense just kind of like fell a little bit, but then we kind of just picked it back up when it mattered the most. And then the Heat game too, like we started off slow, but just committed to the defense, and we just all effort, and then just everything else just kind of fell into place. And that's kind of how like I feel like the season is going to go, because once we do establish that identity for real, bro, this team's just going to be able to go like full throttle.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I wanted to bring up, right, specifically for the Knicks game, we saw the classic Celtics meltdown, right, in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure like the entirety of the Celtics fans watching this, like, yo, here we fucking go again, right? Like, it doesn't matter who we have, we're gonna blow like 12, 15-point leads. But then I think the main reason I wanted to bring it up is because I believe Julius Randle hit an and 1-3, right? He missed the free throw, and we were down 6, and we got the ball back, and we fucking ripped off like a 6-0 run, right? And I think what we're seeing this year is a more composed team, even in those moments, right? Where I felt like last year when we were in those type of moments, I know we had like an amazing clutch time record, but like I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of like how we execute down the stretch when stuff like that happens. It's gonna happen. Like, you're in the NBA, like teams are gonna go on runs, and it's gonna look like a meltdown. It really is, and I think it looks like a meltdown because we had some really ugly turnovers, and that's what a big talking point was after the game, after the Knicks game. But like, I really wanted to highlight the execution that we saw offensively and defensively after they went up 6, I believe. And yo, it's just a completely different feel.
No, I get that.
And it feels a lot smoother, so to speak, than last year.
I mean, that is, I feel like, direct correlation to Porzingis in a way, because, I mean, even late in the next game specifically, not that obviously got fouled out in the Heat game, but in the next game, you could see that a lot of the pick and rolls, like, he was just wide open. He hit obviously like tough buckets and stuff like that, but he probably got like 2 or 3 good look like threes off rip, like multiple in a row. And he might have like missed one or two, but regardless, like he still hit like 2 big shots as well. And I just think like there's another like confidence to the team. I was thinking about it a little bit when I was watching the end of the Heat game as well, where it was just like it never felt like they were panicky.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
And I think that is like, the Jays feeling a bit more confident in their own game as well. And they're another year added, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
And then they have Drew Holiday, who is also trying to slow it down. Derek White has always been like very like steady presence to them. So now, like, I don't know, it's interesting. It just feels like when they just look at who's on the squad in the last like 5 minutes, they have no worries,
Yeah.
And even as me watching, I'm just like, oh, there's always someone fucking open. And just like, like one of the swing shots to the corner for Derek White. He hit a big 3 to like basically like close it or like hit a dagger, and then obviously JB hit that after as well in the 3. Yeah, and I was like, yo, this is just there's always a guy that is like a weapon essentially. And I think they also feel that too. So it's been nice to see them very like calm, honestly, against these. Even if like Miami were to get that 11-point lead off it because they started out so hot, or us like blowing lead to the Knicks, it's just so far it has seemed like super steady, which I think is the biggest like takeaway I've seen from them, outside of like because this is supposed to be like their gelling period. So the fact that they're as collected as they are already is looking scary, man.
It really is.
It is. I mean, like to add to that, I think like the reason, my opinion of that, I think it's the addition of Drew Holiday, bro. Yeah. I think just for real, like him playing with JB and JT, or especially JT, Team USA, getting that gold medal, and then just his championship pedigree and his experience. I think he kind of just probably had that conversation with the guys, like, I mean, you gotta stay composed, stay collected as a group, and just figure it out. I think. Yeah, at times, last season it felt like we were more reliant on JT or JB to kind of, steady the ship. And then now it's like, all right, all of us can do it. So it's like, as long as we're in the right, mindset, and we just stick together, it's going to come like it's easy. Like, it's going to be easy for them.
100%. And I think something I also am sort of seeing, but in a different way, it's almost kind of like KP has slotted into that early Al role when he first signed here, except the roster is kind of like on crack now.
Yeah,
compared to what we had before. Like we're seeing a lot of more handoff motions where you kind of give it to KP at the top post, and then you see a lot of movement, as opposed to, I feel like last year it was like Nathan was just saying, you give it to JT, JB, or even Marcus at the top of the key, and then it's kind of like everybody's really just standing around, and you might see a pick.
Yeah, it was super like drive and kick, but they would have to create that drive like consistently every single time.
Yeah,
but now with KP at the top, they could still do those kind of cuts on their own without it being like so reliant on the ball handling of JB and JT.
Exactly. And the offense seems like a lot more fluid this year.
Yeah.
And I think that's a credit to KP's like abilities, and then obviously everybody else buying in, and it's been amazing, man.
Exactly.
I do have a little bit of a concern, and it's a minimal one, but I do think it's one worth highlighting, and it's our bench has not been producing.
Yeah, but I was like, we're probably gonna all talk about this, so I didn't want to bring it up at the beginning of this.
For sure. It is a little concerning. I think they have like 5 points per game, something like that to start the season. 2 games, like it's only 2 games, small sample size. And and I think it kind of points to the whole gelling thing. Like you're trying to figure out your roles. Preseason's a little bit easier to do because the bench guys are getting all the minutes, so it's easy to get in your rhythm.
Yep.
But it is a little bit concerning that our starters have like 90% of our points.
Yeah, I would say that I feel that with the concern because obviously it was on my list.
Yeah.
But the only other thing I would say is what I guess when we all touched upon the fact that having so many of these guys that are options makes it less taxing for these guys. So if last year I was seeing that JT off the rip was already playing like 38 minutes back to back, I'd be like, damn, this man like had to do everything for us to get those wins. But now, because there's been so many additions that are offensively great, it at the base isn't as taxing for every single person. But I agree that at the end of the day, you still want some kind of bench contribution, because the amount that is technically like they have contributed has been like horrible. And we know like Pritchard is going to be Pritchard, and he's not going to be like solid throughout all 82 games. So expecting him to play the way that he was playing relatively to preseason isn't that crazy in my opinion. I think he will reach certain heights of what we saw in preseason and will do a lot for us. But in terms of like straight shot making or like shot creation off the bench and stuff like that, it's probably just him. And like it is a little bit tricky with Al as well. Like he has slotted into a role where he's just filling in all the gaps rather than trying to like score the way that he did last year, which I'm perfectly fine with. He's as old as he is, so if he is trying to fill in the gaps and be a good defensive presence and stuff like that, grab the boards that he needs to grab and all that stuff, that's like extremely good for our team. But you can noticeably tell that there's a lack of like shot creation and like shot making at the moment off the bench. Like even like Brissett's minutes yesterday was like super dope, really good energy, and helped shift like the tide a little bit.
A lot of it, honestly.
Actually, a lot of it to be honest.
Offensive rebounds, like
which is fire. Like I love that kind of guy on the bench, but there is still just that one like consistent shot creator that we could need, because Pritchard, as much as he is that, he still is undersized.
Very
and we can't say that he can consistently do that yet, because he hasn't done that ever in like a full season. He's done that in spurts in important moments and stuff like that, but yeah, for full season it is hard to say that he's going to be that bench piece for us to do all those things,
at least the way this roster is constructed.
Yeah.
I agree. You hit it on the head, bro. Like I think that was my like first 2 games. That's the only thing that you can kind of like nitpick in a sense. Like you could just tell like last year, like we had Derek White off the bench, or when he did come off the bench, it's like he kind of played that role. So like now that we're starting both guards and we lost Marcus Smart, it's like who are we gonna like rely on now? But I feel like over the like by trade deadline or whatever, if Brad Stevens feels like can make that change, like he'll make a move. But as of right now, that was a little concerning. But I feel like our top 6, like we always say, is so top heavy. Like we don't really need it right now. But in times where I'm not trying to say or like whatever, if like an injury occurs, but like we're gonna need that other dynamic. We're gonna have to add that. But
I do think for me, and I agree completely. This is just a nitpick at this point because it's such a small sample size, 2 games. But one thing to kind of like maybe not defend, but like rationalize the small output from the bench is realistically we haven't truly seen more than like 2 of the starters out at the same time. Like 3 of the starters have been on the court pretty much at all times, and I'd be hard pressed to see anybody like from a bench unit contribute when you have 5 high level starters.
And like taking shots away from them,
and they're all in the game at almost all times. So, but with the bench thing, and this is looking more at the big man thing, I don't like KP playing as many minutes as he's been. He's the only one that I'd want to limit his minutes, because he's probably like the way he's tall and the way he lands is fucking weird. And like let's get that man's minutes down, at least in the regular season. Like we're gonna see this in the playoffs, but like I would like to see a bit more like big man rotations that aren't Luke Cornett. But I love Luke, man.
I feel that, bro.
I was a Luke stan last year, man, but this year I don't know what happened.
No, I mean I like Luke, like actually, but I just think that he doesn't. He's just like super vanilla of a player, But at the same time, that his bar for like not looking good is very like high, I guess.
Exactly.
So it's like he doesn't do enough to show you flashes of anything.
Yeah.
So the fact that he can do bad stuff, it's just highlighted even more.
Yeah.
Is what I've realized, because he's such a textbook guy that he's got to do all those little things right for him to just be like good, passable.
Right. And it almost seems like, because like our offense is really kind of pivoted this year compared to what we did last year. So maybe he just isn't fit for what we're doing. You know what I mean? It just doesn't look fluid when he's on the court. Unfortunately.
No, I agree. It does look like he's a step different compared to last year. Like last year, almost everything was solid.
Yeah,
I'm saying, positioning, movement. You know, in the flow of the offense, he worked very well. But now it just looks kind of off.
Yeah, for sure.
At least more than last year. So it's just kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, and also I would like to see more Brissett moving forward, especially in the short term, because like that energy is what we need from the bench, right?
Yeah.
Like with how good our starters are and our top 6 in general, because like I feel like it's not really, you know, fair to include Al as a bench player because our top 6 is that good where they're all kind of tied together. But I think Brissett deserves a lot more playing time, especially after last night.
Yeah,
we need.
I'm kind of interested in Svi still.
I really want to see Svi shootings. I want to see him get some spot minutes there too.
Even just like shooting, but I think he can do a lot more on the ball than I mean we even saw it during preseason and stuff. But in his previous teams, he had been doing some kinds of like playmaking and on-ball creation and stuff. So I think he could be interesting for sure. Honestly, there's a world where Joe is doing this to get that gelling period over, if that makes sense. With that like top 6 and stuff, because you know he knows that everyone is there, and preseason it's not like he was or anyone was playing their starters crazy heavy minutes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I could see a world where you know he starts to open up the lineup / the bench a little bit more.
I mean, into the season. That actually kind of makes sense to you now that you're mentioning it. It's like it was a pretty short rotation these first 2 games.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, bro, that's like this extremely is small.
This is a playoff rotation.
I'm like, it's kind of weird to see, but yeah, just looking at it, it's like straight like 8-man type stuff.
Yeah,
and like I said, like Al isn't really in that equation in terms of bench, so really, it's just Hauser, Brissett, and Pritchard. Like that were coming off the bench, not even like random spot minutes from other players. So I'm like, I don't know. I could see a world where he's trying to really get that gelling period in the beginning. Yeah, because I mean we know like last year we would talk about like the games that we had with our starting 5 or whatever, like with Rob and stuff was like less than 10 or something like that.
Yeah,
because everyone was just so in and out. Yeah. So I could see a world where he's trying to do that now, and hoping or like looking into the future where people will just have, you know, one game rest day and this is a different lineup and this is different and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Potentially.
No, for sure. Okay, moving on to the NBA. I don't know if you had any surprises at a quick glance.
I'll say surprises, but I'd say individuals. But you can say what you're.
I had a surprise, but I don't think it was a surprise for Kyle. It might be a surprise for me and Netra. The Mavericks.
I'm telling y'all, man.
The fucking Mavericks, bro. Luka Magic is there.
I'm telling y'all, bro. Luka's here. Derek Lively's solid. I'm saying, bro.
Grant
Williams. You know what Grant Williams does. You know what Grant Williams does.
That was a surprise to me off a quick glance, but not in the sense that I think they're like legit contenders still.
I don't think so.
But fucking Luka averaging 42 points to start the season. I know it's only 2 games, but holy shit, he's like averaging 42, 11, and like 9 or some shit.
I'm telling y'all, man. He obviously not going to do this for the whole time, but the fact that I've actually liked their defense, especially with Derek Lively. I wasn't heavily like watching their games or anything like that, but Derek Lively is a legit center. I think the only issue is that he's young, so he's gonna go through.
He's coming off the bench for them right now, still, right?
Well, he started last game, so he ended up playing starter minutes the first game because Kid wanted him to play off the bench. But when he was in the game, he just like dramatically changed it up. So he like basically finished the game as a starter. So then he got promoted the second game as a starter, right? But then the second half of the second game, Kid didn't play him because he was like, "Oh, we're running small ball better right now." So I'm like, gotcha. Hey, whatever. But Derek Lively is legit. So I'm liking what he does in terms of defensive end. Josh Green is, I think the three of Josh Green, Grant Williams, and Derek Lively add a lot more defense compared to anything that they had like last year. And that is, and even on the offensive end, I guess you could say they're still pretty like solid, you know. And you always have Luka to fucking carry the offense. Man's averaging like 50 already. So I was gonna say no team has like surprised me, so to say, but like individual players have. Ones that like I was rooting for, but I wasn't sure how like well they would do. Like Chet and Wemby obviously have been doing really, really good. I can't say I was surprised by the Mavs because I had them so high, but they're playing how I wanted or how I expected them to play. I guess everyone on the Thunder has like continued to, alongside Chet, have looked very good, and they're like 2-0 and all that kind of stuff. The Grizzlies, I guess I can say like are surprising me, but I don't think they look bad at all. Like I actually think they look good. They just had like 2 tough matchups the last 2 games, and they're obviously missing their star player. But for what they have and what they're doing right now, I still think that they are in like prime position to be a good playoff team that could like knock some people out, especially if they do end up getting a lower seed because of
they're going to be an annoying team to play against.
Exactly. So that was like a surprising team in a way. I obviously had them high in my rankings or anything and stuff like that, but the fact that I think they're one of those like 0-2 teams that shouldn't or like are better than their record.
Right.
I mean, for me, I'm not gonna lie, not really no surprises, to be honest. It's kind of like 2 games, kind of like I kind of see, this and that. But I mean, if I were to say one, it's just Memphis. But I think again, like 2 tough matchups. I mean, I feel like they could have taken that game against the Pelicans, but Zion was just on one, bro. He was catching bodies, but I mean, I also think for them too, it's kind of another like not really a culture shift, but Marcus Smart now, and obviously losing Ja for the 25 games. Yeah, they like the Grizzlies are freaking what? They had like 20, or I can't remember, like 26 and 2 when Ja was out or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy.
And then like replacing Tyus with Marcus now. So I feel like that's another period that they have to go through and kind of like figure it out. Especially how Marcus barely played in the preseason. He played 1 game. Yeah. And now the first 2 regular season games, he's a starter, and they kind of got to go through the motions and figure it out. So that was probably the one surprise, but I don't think it lasts long. I think Marcus will get him going. Jaren Jackson actually performed like dog shit in the first game too.
God damn. I agree, but he did much better the second game.
He did for sure. That's what I said the first game.
If he can get more than 5 rebounds per game, hey,
he's never shaking that Team USA shit, bro. He's never gonna shake that shit, bro.
He got 9 rebounds. So I was like, hey, I'll take that shit. Yeah. Fantasy squad? Hell yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't have any real surprises, to be honest.
Nothing too crazy yet. Everyone has looked the way that I thought they would look so far.
I just kind of threw it out there, but I will say this.
Shout out to Magic too, though.
Yo, Orlando's looked pretty good to start off the season. Those young teams, Orlando, OKC, even the Spurs,
they were 2 like younger teams though too. To be honest, like to be fair, they were the fucking Rockets and the Trailblazers. Hey, they're just asserting their dominance as a young squad.
You still gotta play the games and win them.
Exactly.
But I will say it's a little disappointing that we haven't seen the Suns' big 3 play together yet. I don't know what the fuck is going on with Bradley Beal. I didn't realize Devin Booker hurt himself bad enough in game 1 to miss game 2.
Yeah, I saw a tweet. I mean, I don't know how like credible this was about the Bradley Beal thing, but apparently he was having like back issues since the Wizard stuff. And the Suns, or I think they were downplaying the fact that like his back was kind of like messed up like that throughout last season. But the Suns were like still okay with accepting that trade and letting it go through. So there's like a world where he never like properly recovered, and it might be like a bit worse than it is looking. Not that he's going to be like out for half the season or however long like that, but I think it might just be more of a nagging thing than Suns fans would have thought initially. But I agree. It sucks that we haven't even seen them as a tandem together. It's just been.
I would have liked them to at least have been healthy against the Lakers because KD was hard carrying.
Actually, and then that fourth, my God, Nez was gassed.
He was gassed at that point. He was dragging some G Leaguers, bro.
Dude, I was watching till the third quarter, and the fourth, I was like, bro, what happened?
He fell off a cliff. But like, dude, I think he played like a bulk of the minutes and was doing all of the heavy lifting. So like,
it was crazy.
I would like to see them healthy at some point, just from a basketball standpoint. You never.
Yeah, if they do go through that like trajectory, I'm kind of scared for where they will like land in terms of like playoffs and all that kind of stuff. We all had them pretty high in terms of standings, and that's not like that big of a deal at the end of the day. I'm sure they're going to make the playoffs, but I do think there's something to say about the fact that they're all going to, at least Bradley Beal's already starting off like this. I'm sure Devin Booker's thing isn't as bad, but KD has routinely every single year played hella minutes and gotten injured and then came back, and he's still looked good every time. But every single year he's had to play hella minutes because his other stars were out or, not providing as much. So it just feels like it could be another repeat of that. And I obviously wouldn't want that to happen because I just want to see them all play. Like, it'd be fun. So
especially for the marquee matchups, man.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just one thing that I'm, I guess, keeping an eye out for.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I didn't really have anything else. Y'all have anything else?
I mean, I know the other thing you said was like the teams you expected to do well, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what it was. Like, I mean, it's 2 games in, hard to say, but like everybody's kind of looked, besides the Suns because they're not really healthy. Like everybody's kind of looked the way I expected them to.
Yeah. Oh, Nuggets are like very confident.
Oh yeah.
Like they got that
championship ego is going full strength.
Dude, the championship ego is crazy. I like easily I could see them not like kind of running away with the first seed. I'm not gonna lie. Like all of their players that felt like Jamal Murray and MPJ felt like players that if they had stepped up, they could put it together to like win the chip. But now they feel like players who, alongside Aaron Gordon, to be honest, they all feel like players who, since they've already done it, they have like no like fear, I guess, and they're kind of just like playing free now.
Yeah, it's the confidence.
It's fire. Yeah, the confidence is crazy. So I'm like, they could just run away with the West, man.
That's what I thought would happen too, to be honest.
I mean, we all thought they were gonna be the 1 seed, but I was like, okay, like, it's still very competitive. But I'm like, low key, this shit might not be competitive for Jokic, man. Like, he's coming out different right now.
And there's nobody to really defend him, if we're being honest.
Exactly.
So like, except Al Horford, my glorious king.
Yes.
But we don't have to worry about that. But no, Denver's looked. But everybody's really looked the way that we expected them to. I think even the Warriors have looked pretty good so far with the CP3 experiment.
Yep.
Like I think we talked about this in episode 1 where it would work out. I mean, it's funny to talk about 38-year-old Chris Paul joining the Golden State Warriors, but the fit has looked pretty good. So,
I agree.
And they beat the Kings last night,
Yeah, we'll see how it is when Draymond comes back. But I mean, so far,
I think it'll be even better.
I think it'll be even more
annoying. Like gameplay, but it'll be even funnier. Until we verse their asses.
Yeah.
And all the like mid to bad teams have kind of already looked that way. I guess the Hawks can be a bit surprising because
Trae Young.
Like Trae Young hasn't he hasn't looked like he has contributed well to the team in a minute. I look at like Toronto. I feel like will literally be like a mid-ass team. Like they're gonna win some, they're gonna lose some. They might be like 500 type shit.
I don't think I even had them in my play-in.
I think I had them like very very last.
I had them like 10.
Something like that. And then like same thing with the Bulls. Like they fall into that line. I'm just interested to see if they'll ever blow it up. This or if they will blow it up this season. I did see like I don't even know how like credible it is, but that the Bulls are like could land Harden, and I just think that's hilarious too.
But I read that report too, and wasn't one of the things was like, okay, they land Harden, but they like lose Levine.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
it would only make sense.
Hey, I'd take that. I would take that.
Dude, that would shift a lot for Philly.
Yeah,
if they got
Philly would.
It would be very interesting.
Or even DeRozan if they got like a wing next
year.
Yeah. Because Maxi's looked really good to start the year.
Yeah. I mean, I think either one of those guys could be very nice because then you get Maxi as like the primary initiator, which he's already looked pretty good doing so. And then you just have like a pure like scorer in either LaVine or DeRozan. I think obviously LaVine adds a little bit more speed with that up and down, but which could obviously pair well with Maxi. But DeRozan is just a crazy shot maker. And that could be very useful alongside Embiid, who also is a crazy shot maker, but obviously tends to slow down in the playoffs when there's a lot more focus on him.
More of a half court setting.
Exactly. Yeah. So who knows? That could be really interesting. I'm waiting for that trade to happen for sure.
One more thing I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on. Like, how did you guys feel about the Dame debut?
Oh, I loved it, bro. I'm always been a Dame fan, bro. But and then the fact that Giannis is already saying, "Oh, this is Dame's team."
Yeah.
He comes out of his debut, fucking just shows out like Dame time, bro. Dude, it's insane. Like you kind of like expected it. Like, yeah, he was struggling in the preseason, but again, with all these new teams, all in a new place, like it's, that period's gonna happen. Like you're gonna struggle a little bit, but I feel like with Dame, when it matters most, and like he needs to win, and now he got Giannis alongside him. It's kind of scary sight to see.
It is a good duo. I didn't realize he shot 17 free throws. That's kind of crazy. Like I knew he was shooting some free throws, but damn, 17 is crazy. But I thought it was really good too. Like they, as a tandem, make a lot of sense, and obviously seeing on the court was nice to see as like a basketball fan. I don't have a lot of fear overall in terms of like versing each other. Because I know like there was a tweet, and I mean maybe we would have seen it, but the fact that a lot of the Sixers perimeter players like just went off.
They were fucking cooking, bro,
and shot like super efficient. And I think that's just like a testament to what we would match up like against the Bucks as well, because we already have done very well on the perimeter against them because of JB and JT. But now that we add a KP and a Drew Holiday as well. And they minus their best perimeter defender. It's very hard to see how they'll do anything against us in the perimeter on the defensive end. I think it'll just be extremely like free for us. And obviously we have personnel to like defend as well as we can against these guys. Just as good as we could have last year as well. So none of those things really like scare me, I guess. Dame is going to be the Dame though. So
I do think the offense is impressive. Adding Dame, the dynamic of that offense completely changes because I felt like last year you wanted them to shoot, whereas this year you don't want that. And you got to kind of pick your poison, right? Giannis fucking bulldozing his way to the rim, or you let Dame cook on the wing, right? And it kind of showed up, and step back three over who? Kelly Oubre to take the lead.
I think it was.
But to Kyle's point, and I really wanted to get your reactions on it because they don't strike fear in me like I thought they would. Kelly Oubre, Tyrese Maxey, and I forget who the third guy was, but they dropped 76 points.
Probably Tobias Harris.
It was Tobias Harris, yeah. They dropped 76 points on 80% shooting. It was like 80-80 splits. It was crazy. And that was with motherfucking Kelly Oubre and Tobias Harris, baby. And we got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Actually, though.
I have no fear. You want Giannis to one up on Jason Tatum? Please do it. But no, like I do think they look good. I do think the way they played, I think our 1-2 is solidified. Like they're playing the way we thought they would. But man, I do think I don't know, man. I kind of give the edges to Boston here.
In terms of matchups, I agree that we just match up extremely well against them.
Yeah,
I would
rather play them than Miami.
No, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm very like hyped to see the matchup against each other though, because
When is the first game?
I'm sure people will show out. Dude, I heard it was like mid-season, no?
Is it mid-season?
I could be wrong, but I swear someone was like, yo, the fact that it's like mid-season is like a crime.
Yeah. I need that matchup like today.
Let me see. Boston. Oh, wait. Not too sure, actually. January 11th is the first one that pops up for me. Could be another one, though. Yeah, no, it is. January 11th, March 20th, and then April 9th are all of our matchups.
Well, I mean, at the very least, by that point, our records will be pretty, like okay, we are who we are. Teams have gelled, so it'll be a better matchup. But I can't wait.
For sure.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting.
Yeah, all right. I think that's all we had for today. You know, looking forward to the ongoing NBA season.
Yeah, a little short one.
A lot of fun hoops.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm so glad it's back, man.
I'm so glad.
It's been so great. Like I said, individual performances and stuff have been fire.
It's honestly filled the void, especially since there's been NBA like every day.
Yeah. They do need to fix that scheduling though. Like, what the hell are they doing? Like 12 games in one day is crazy. Insane, bro. Like, what are we supposed to do? Watch 3 at once?
They want you to buy League Pass, bro. That's what
it's so bad, bro. But I mean, all right. That's another rant for another day.
Yeah. All right. Signing off. Later.
Peace.
Peace.